Good morning, everybody. Michelle Morgan here at Keller Williams Referred Realty. And I have with me today Salima Virani from Blue Letter Law and Tony Sanidi from Tony Mortgages. And just as a recap from last week, we're going to go through a little bit of what's been happening in the real estate world regarding COVID-19 pandemic and just get you up to speed to what we have found out. So on my end of things, we just got in the March 2020 report, which has been great just to find out what happened last month. You almost want to look at this as two phases. So you have pre-COVID 2019 or 2020, sorry, and then you have post-COVID 2020. Now, pre-COVID would be from March 1st to March 14th, somewhere in there. And post-COVID-19 would be from March 15th and would go to March 31st. So when you look at that, the first half of the month was phenomenal. We were in our typical spring market. We had high sales activities, multiple offer scenarios, and things were really going strong. Interestingly enough, you see a change. I don't think anyone would be surprised as once post-COVID comes into play, everything slows down. We are on hold. Our lives, very similar to our lives, slowed down. So did the real estate market. And so our sales numbers really start to slow down, even though, funny enough, if we went year over year and we looked at what happened 2019 March and we reviewed it with 2020 March, you'll actually see that sales went up by 12.3%. And this is going for the 416 and the 905 areas, so right across the GTA. Overall, there is actually more sales transactions from last year, but that's heavily pushed by the first 2 weeks. When we look at the last 2 weeks, you really see that, again, overall, our month actually did stronger than last year. Price-wise, we haven't gone down in price. We actually just stayed still. Price-wise, when we look at 2019 and we compare it to 2020, we are up by 14.5%. We haven't necessarily seen a price drop, which is probably one of the questions I keep getting is what's happening with our market, what's going to happen with my home price. At this point, I haven't seen that happen. Again, it's just we're at that standstill, but that gives you an idea of background of what had happened in March. So with that, I'm going to let you ladies take it over. Salima, if you want to talk a little bit about what happened on your end.
So on the legal spectrum, I think the two big things that we're hearing about is purchasers that are perhaps not able to close transactions. On the resale side, frankly, nothing has changed with COVID. It's the same drill. If you are unable to close, you seek an extension. Typically, the extension will come with some sort of cost. You will end up paying the per diem interest on the seller's outstanding mortgage or the balance due on closing. It can typically be worked out if the parties do end up in a situation where the seller wants to therefore withdraw from the deal or the buyer wants to walk away from the deal, then it's just a question of your deposits and the mitigations on the seller's part to make sure that they are reselling the property, which I can discuss in more detail if anybody wants to know. It's a little bit more difficult to walk away from a transaction or even to get an extension if you are buying from a builder and if this is a pre-construction purchase, because those agreements, unfortunately, have provisions which say that if you are unable to close, then the builder has the right to forfeit the deposit, take all your money, and terminate the transaction. And because that's already built into the contract, not all builders are showing compassion and flexibility in offering generous extensions. So please obviously consult a lawyer if you are in that situation. The one other situation that we're seeing is homeowners, landlords, and have tenants that are perhaps unable or unwilling to pay rents. And the concern is this rent now gone, or are we going to be able to recover it? So yes, there is a provision there where the evictions have come to a standstill. So there are no evictions for the foreseeable future. So if your tenant is not paying the rent that they should be paying, you will not be able to enforce eviction as a remedy, at least at this point. However, that amount is still owed and due to you. what the province is recommending, what the city is recommending, and what certainly lawyers are recommending to their clients is, rather than consider litigation as your immediate option, it should really be the option of last resort. Right now is the time to really come together, perhaps come up with some scheme where you are offering some sort of a rebate or some sort of a deferral of the rent, and maybe speak to your lender and see if you're able to defer your own mortgage so that as a landlord you're getting relief. And I think that's a perfect time to hand over to Tony.
Thank you very much, ladies. So first I'd like to talk to everyone about interest rates. So currently right now, prime rate is at 2.45, and that's predicted by the Bank of Canada. So you have lenders now giving prime plus 0.10 to clients for a 5-year term, which is a great rate right now. And again, I use the sleep test with my clients to let them know, to see if they should take a variable or a fix. If they can't sleep at night because prime rate fluctuates, then that's not the product for them. But if they're able to sleep at night, then take the variable, because it is a good deal right now. You have the 5-year fix for a high ratio at 2.79 and a 5-year conventional fixed at 3.10. A lot of people don't know the difference between high ratio and conventional. The high ratio insured product is when you generally purchase a property, you put in less than 20% down. That's called high ratio insured. Conventional is when you're putting more than 80% down and there's no insurance premium on the product. That's called the conventional product. So that's the difference between the two. I also want to share or talk about deferred payments, because that's a big topic right now. So a lot of lenders have different policies on these deferred payments. So it's best to call your bank, find out what their policies are, ask the appropriate questions. Will this affect me when it's time for my renewal? Will it affect my credit? A lot of people are under that misconception that it's going to affect their credit bureau. The lenders and Equifax, what they're doing is they're coding the this emergency relief as a certain code, just like they did out west when it was the fire emergency that they had out west. So they have a special code for situations like this that is not going to affect your credit, but it will be on your credit bureau with a different kind of code. So every lender will know what that is. So again, not to worry, but call your bank and find out what their policies are for this. I'm now seeing on every single lender site links for the COVID-19. So click on the link if you need to apply for it, because they're making it easier for everyone now instead of calling in. They're there to help you. We're all in this together. If you do have any questions, any concerns, and anything, and you don't want to post it, feel free to call me or email me, and I'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. I just wanted to clarify one thing you said. So if it's a high ratio mortgage, you're paying less than 20%.
Yep.
And if it's the opposite, how much are you paying?
3.10.
That's the interest.
Yep.
And in terms of that, that means your down payment is how much? Not actual figures, but percentage wise, it's 20%. Right. Yeah, I think you had said 80% in there, meaning.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
So I just wanted to clarify.
Value.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Just wanted to make sure everybody understood.
20%.
Perfect. So ladies, thank you once again for giving everybody the update. These were all great questions. Again, if any of you guys have questions moving forward, please feel free to respond back in the links below. All of our contact information will be attached, and we wish you all a good week. Stay safe. Bye.
Stay safe. Happy Easter.